After 8 years of playing, DMing, and making content for D&D 5e, I feel it's time to nitpick what I feel is the biggest flaw with this system from a purely mechanical standpoint. This is going to sound so remarkably nothing, but I really do believe it's led to page bloat with its incredibly clumsy workaround across dozens of monster stat blocks, and I can at least theorize that it kept quite a lot of cool character options from getting introduced. I'm not kidding when I say this bothered me so much 2 years ago that I was actually considering starting to design for Pathfinder because I feel like this would just require too much fiddling with the moving parts of the 5e system to fix. This affects literally every part of the game in some way: adventures, classes, monsters, magic items, and spells. Why does the 5e system reference the confusion spell with like a half a sentence every single time the mechanic pops up rather than just have a confused condition? See, okay, I told you that this is going to sound pedantic, but for real, this has been maddening as someone who gets paid to overanalyze and write for this game. 5e was meant to be a more streamlined version of this game, but D&D 3.5 had a confused condition, and this step away from that part of the system makes it a cluttered mess and limits its potential depth. This might not seem like much of anything to a regular D&D player, but to those of us that are doing homebrew or adventure writing, this is like hearing the beauty of Chopin's Opus 9 No. 2 with Gilbert Gottfried screeching in the background. This hang-up put me on a line of thought that, honestly, the pool of conditions that we have in 5e is just remarkably shallow and arguably insignificant in some instances, with the number of features and traits that player options are getting to overcome a lot of these conditions. I know this comparison isn't totally apt, but growing up on Final Fantasy and remembering the interesting and robust system of conditions in there, I'm left feeling underwhelmed by the low magic conditions that don't support the high magic fantasy that this game claims to be. Now, I'm not just going to bring up my issues here, I prefer trying to propose solutions when I have a critique to help support my position. Back in 2020, whenever I heard that Wizards of the Coast was abandoning the Mystic concept, I just kind of wrote my own. Almost as if I was trying to prove to them that they had a cool core, but they just didn't see it through. This class was supposed to incorporate the psionic die into its whole own magic system in a way. As a part of writing that class, I did a band-aid fix to separate the effects of the confusion spell into the new confused condition, then rework the original spell for this new condition. Then I wanted to give the School of Enchantment a much-needed debuffing cantrip for combat that uses the new mechanic in the form of a new spell that Jordan at Flutesloot coined as Muddle, which targets a single creature for the condition and ends the effect early when it takes damage, similar to what we see in Final Fantasy. Like, zero playtesting went in on this thing and I'm just theory crafting on this one, alright? Now, if we take that philosophy and look at the monster stat blocks that have text that specifically mentions the confused spell, subjected to the effects of the confusion spell, yada yada yada, you can start to condense those down into simple, one-sentence lines of text. This would be the same for any dungeon trap, poison, magic item, whatever that makes mention of the confusion spell. We can even expand on the condition with a "while confused in this way" line, like they do with the grappled and poison conditions in a lot of stat blocks for more customized effects. Now that I've added this condition for everything else to refer to, I think you can see how this starts to remove page bloat across multiple books. Now this is just kind of a jumping off point here. I'm not saying I have the right opinion on how this should work. However, this one change caused an inspirational spark in my brain for this system again. I looked back on some of these conditions from video games and other fiction and worked them into the system. It was kind of like I got to push back against the event horizon of the black hole known as writer's block. Now I'm excited to concept new conditions to expand on every aspect of this game and maybe open up some builds that try to intentionally inflict themselves with certain conditions for new, interesting styles of play. With this new addition that they have on the horizon, I'm really hopeful to see conditions open up because I believe that this could lead to a bunch of awesome new classes and ideas that toy with them. But anyways, that's kind of it for this rant. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Don't think of this video as a crapping on D&D video, I'm just giving a critique for a system I really love, despite its flaws, hoping that it will improve in the future. As a side note, I originally wrote this script for this video just for the video, but my buddy Jordan over at Flutesloot offered to host it up as an article over on his site, so the link for that will be down in the description below if you're interested in checking that out and picking up the PDF of these mechanics I put together. A huge thank you to all my Patreon sponsors. Thank you all so much for helping me keep the lights on around here and coffee in my blood. You all are absolute heroes. And hey, if you're new to my channel, interested in talking about D&D game design, why not subscribe if you haven't already? Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you dislike it. See you guys in the next one.